I know that some of you prefer to have portions of it read to you. I know that some of you prefer to read it by yourselves. So I am going to read in sections the Bronx Masquerade. I'm sorry that you'll hear my voice a whole lot, but I hope that it'll help you. Let me know if you would like for me to do this for the second week as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pull up this screen. Now, if those of you who are reading it online, you'll notice that it starts on page 11 of the document. You see that down here. So make sure that you are starting there, because otherwise you're going to be very confused. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read. I'm going to minimize this so maybe you can't see me. Okay. All right. So Bronx Masquerade by Nikki Grimes. Wesley Bad Boy Boone. I ain't particular about doing homework, you understand? My teachers practically faint whenever I turn something in. Matter of fact, I probably got the longest list of excuses for missing homework of anyone alive, except for my homie Tyrone. He tries to act like he's not even interested in school, like there's no point in studying hard or dreaming about tomorrow or bothering to graduate. He's got his reasons. I keep on him about going to school, though, saying I need the company. Besides, I tell him, if he drops out and gets a job, he won't have any time to work on his songs. That always gets to him. Tyrone might convince everybody else that he's all through with dreaming, but I know he wants to be a big hip-hop star. He's just afraid he won't live long enough to do it. Me, I hardly ever think about checking out. I'm more worried about figuring what I want to do if I do live. Anyway, I haven't had to drag Tyrone off to school lately or make excuses for not having my homework done, because I've been doing it. It's the Harlem Renaissance stuff that's got us both going. We spent a month reading poetry from the Harlem Renaissance in our English class. Then Mr. Ward, that's our teacher, asked us to write an essay about it. Make sense to you? Me neither. I mean, what's the point of studying poetry and then writing essays? So I wrote a bunch of poems instead. They weren't too shabby, considering I'd only done a few rap pieces before. My favorite was about Langston Hughes. How was I to know Teach would ask me to read it out loud? But I did, knees knocking like a skeleton on Halloween, embarrassment bleaching my black cheeks red, eyes stapled to the page in front of me. But I did it. I read my poem. Guess what? Nobody laughed. In fact, everybody thought it was cool. By the time I got back to my seat, the other kids were shouting out, "Mr. Ward, I got a poem too. Can I bring it in to read?" Teach cocked his head to the side like he was hearing something nobody else did. "How many people here have poems they'd like to read?" he asked. 3 hands shot up. Mr. Ward rubbed his chin for a minute. "Okay," he said, "bring them with you tomorrow." After class, Teach came over to my desk. "Great poem," said Mr. Ward, "but I still expect to see an essay from you. I'll give you another week." So much for creative expression. Long Live Langston by Wesley Boone. Trumpeter of Lennox and Seventh, through Jesse B. Simple, you simply celebrated blues and bebop and being black before it was considered hip. You dipped into the muddy waters of the Harlem River and shouted, "Taste and see, that we black folk be good at fanning hope and stoking the fires of dreams deferred." You made sure the world heard about the beauty of maple sugar children and the artfully tattooed backs of black sailors venturing to foreign places. Your sweet fly paper of life led us past the Apollo and on through 125th and all the other Harlem streets you knew like the black of your hand. You are a Pied Piper, brother man, with poetry as your flute. It's my honor and pleasure to salute you, a true Renaissance man of Harlem. Tyrone Bidding. School ain't nothing but a joke. My moms don't want to hear that. But if it weren't for Wesley and my other homies, I wouldn't even be here. These white folk talking about some future, telling me I need to be planning for some future, like I got one. and Renard agreeing like he's smart enough to know. From what I hear, that boy can't hardly read. Anyway, it's time them white folk get me with this future mess. Like Steve, all hopped up about working on Broadway and telling me I should think about getting with it too. Asked me if I ever thought about writing plays. Fool, what kind of question is that? I said. He threw his hands up and backed off a few steps. All I'm saying is, you're a walking drama, man. You got that down pat, so maybe you should think about putting it on paper. When that boy dyed his hair, I believe some of that bleach must have seeped right into his brain. I grind my teeth and lower my voice. Boy, get out of my face, I tell him. He finally gets the message and splits. I'm ticked off that he even got me thinking about such nonsense as Broadway. White folk, who they think they kiddin'? They might as well go blow smoke up somebody else's you-know-what, 'cause a black man's got no chance in this country. I'll be lucky if I make it to 21 with all these fools running around with AK-47s. Here I am, one of the few kids I know whose daddy didn't skip out on him, and he didn't even make it to 30. He was doing okay till he got blown away on a Saturday. Blam! Another statistic in a long line of drive-bys. Life is cold. Future? What I got is right now, right here, spending time with my homies. Wish there was some future to talk about. I could use me some future. I'm just about ready to sleep off the whole year when this teacher starts talking about poetry. And he rattles off a poem by some white guy named Dylan Thomas that sounds an awful lot like rap. Now, I know me some rap, and I start to thinking I should show Mr. Ward what rap is really all about. So I tell him I've got a poem I'd like to read. Bring it on Friday, he says. As a matter of fact, from now on, I'll leave time for poetry readings at the end of every month. We'll call them Open Mic Fridays. Next thing I know, I'm digging my old rap poems out of my dresser drawer and bringing them to school. I'm thinking it can't hurt to share them, even if there's no chance I'll ever get to be a songwriter. After all, it's the one thing I could see myself doing if there really was a future, and I'm thinking that maybe there could be if I wanted it bad enough. And all of a sudden, I realize I do. Open Mic, Attendance by Tyrone Biddings. We are all here, Leslie and Bad Boy, Lupe and Raoul, here, here, and here. Dear Mr. Ward with his wards and wardettes, let's have a show of hands today. Is Portia here? Is Deandra here? Where, oh, where is Sheila? It's me, Tyrone. I'm up here all alone, rapping into a microphone because I've got something to say. MTV is here. Mirror and morning spacewalks are here. Terrorism is here, lurking at the bus stop. I can't hop on the subway without thinking of Tokyo. We all know poison gas does not discriminate. It's too late to worry about my innocence since fear is here. Why is it a weekend visit to your local Mickey D's may be deadly? Why hasn't somebody censored death? Don't hold your breath waiting. Still, you can chill and celebrate all that's great about life, like music and the tick, tick, tick of time, which is equal parts yours and mine to make of the world what we will. But first, say no to coke and smoke. Say no to police brutality and causing fatality. Say no to race hate. Don't underestimate the power of love. But most of all, take 2 poems and call me in the morning. Chinkara Troop. I am not in the mood for Tyrone's story. Baby, give me some love and routine. So when I see him in the hall, I storm past as if he's not even there. Eventually, he'll figure out why. I come to school sporting shades and a Johnny print across my left cheek, Johnny being the name of the idiot who smacked me last night. Naturally, Portia is the first person who notices my new tattoo. She walks straight up to me and says, "You deserve better, girlfriend, and you know it. No hello, no how are you, just you deserve better." Then she turns away and walks into the classroom. Typical Portia, no nonsense. That's why we get along. Then here comes Sheila Gambaroni. The minute she sees me, she demands to know the name of the guy who gave me my shiner, like she's going to send her brothers after him or something. I keep his name to myself just in case. She commences to call the guy everything but a child of God, which makes her feel better, I think, then gives me a hug and says she'll see me later. Sheila is a bit over the top with her sister act. as if she's trying to make up for being white, but she means well. I can do without some of the other girls who stare at me, though. I know they're just looking for something to talk about, so I rip off my sunglasses, let them get a better look. Might as well stare all you want. This is the first and last time you'll ever see me like this. Of course, that's what they all say. Nobody knows that better than me. My sister's boyfriends have been beating on her for years. I made up my mind a long time ago. I'm not having none of that. Last night I tried telling this to Johnny, who seems to be hard of hearing. He'd brought me home from a movie. He came in for a while, got comfortable since Mom was working overtime, and we had the apartment to ourselves. We locked lips for a few minutes. Next thing I know, he's fingering my shirt buttons. I push him away gently at first. I think we better slow down, I say. No, no, he says, voice all husky. It's just getting good. This time, his hand shoots up my skirt. Bad move. I jump off the sofa like it's on fire.
Travis, please call extension 3003, please.
Sorry, guys. Maybe it's time for you to go. He grabbed my skirt and tried pulling me back down, which is right about when I hauled off and smacked him. He leaped up and smacked me back. My jaw dropped from shock, and I looked in his eyes and saw my sister's reflection. I turned away, strode to the door, unlocked it, and held it open for him. I hope you enjoyed yourself, I said, 'cause that's the last time you'll ever lay a hand on me. Now get out. He actually looked like he was studying on staying, so I stepped in the hallway and screamed at the top of my lungs. I said, get out. Fearing trouble, he left. Now I've got this ugly tattoo on my cheek. I thought about skipping school today, but I hate to miss English. Besides, the bruise is temporary and so is the pain. Still, I'd rather not have kids gawking at me all period. So I park myself in the back of the room and wait for Mr. Ward to call our English class to attention. Mr. Ward is funny. Sometimes he asks us questions without warning and tells us to answer quick without stopping to think about it. The truth is always right on the tip of your tongue, he says. It's the fabrications that take a lot of time. Yesterday, he asked us, what do you know? Yesterday, I said my name, but today would be different. Today, I'd tell him I'm a woman. Today, I would tell him a woman ain't no punching bag. That's what I know. Bruised Love by Jankira Troop. A midnight thirst sent me padding to the kitchen for a jelly jar of water and an accidental run-in with my sister. She tiptoed in, late and limping, her cheek raw as red-brown meat. I caught a quick glance in the chilly glow of the refrigerator before she had a chance to hide the latest souvenir her boyfriend gave her. I bruise easily is one of the lies she sprinkles like sugar, but I'm 15, not brainless. Besides, I knew the truth at 10. He'll never do it again, she swears. But he will, because she'll let him. Now me, I've got no excuses. I've got no use for lame excuses or imitation love that packs a punch. I am going to stop. Tyrone. My pops used to hit my mom like that. When I was little, I used to hide under my bed and cry, scared he was coming for me next. I ain't thought about that in years. How could you do that, Pops? I don't get it. Is that why he hung around, so he'd have somebody smaller than him to beat up on? I don't even want to go there. I'm just glad he finally stopped drinking and cleaned up his act before he checked out. It gave us a chance to have some good times together. Chankira was the third one up today. Her stuff was so deep, nobody wanted to follow her. There weren't but 2 more people planning to read anyway, including me. We both decided to bag it till the next open mic. Meanwhile, I'm going to be busy writing me a rap about dudes beating on women. I'll call it Little Men, because that's what they are. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop here, and I will pick up in the next video.